Hello and welcome to Beyond the Hub. Will we explore the strategies, tools, and insights that help businesses maximize growth potential? I'm Jem Rugg-Gunn. I'm head of expert practices here at BabelQuest. We're an elite HubSpot partner, and we're dedicated to helping businesses transform with sales, marketing, and service hub. So before we dive into today's conversation, make sure you're following us wherever you get your podcasts, so Spotify, YouTube, or join us live on LinkedIn every month so you don't miss an episode. You can connect with us on LinkedIn by searching BabelQuest or visit babelquest.co.uk for more resources. But now let's get into it. So today we're excited to be joined by Caitlyn Cimikoski, product strategy and marketing at HubSpot. She's going to be sharing insights on humanizing your help desk in the age of AI and automation. That's a big topic at the moment. Caitlyn is a product marketing and strategy leader with 7 years plus experience at HubSpot. She's currently leading Service Hub product marketing initiatives from Berlin, to an area I'm really interested in seeing, and focusing on empowering support teams to scale efficiently and drive customer retention through rep enablement programs, analyst relations, and customer research. Previously, Caitlyn spearheaded international product strategy across key markets in Europe and APAC, successfully launching major initiatives, including the EU data center, which I remember being a huge triumph, and marketplace localization. So Caitlyn, welcome to Beyond the Hub.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
It feels really like over the last 18 months, Service Hub has taken a huge step forward. Certainly, I've been using HubSpot for 10 years now, and I think the change in the last 18 months is more than anything I've seen in HubSpot, really, for any of the hubs. So can you talk a bit about that shift and where it's come from, where it's headed to?
Yes. First of all, I completely agree with you. I think it's like almost unrecognizable. And you're not the first person to say that. Almost everyone I speak with is like, what happened? Where, like, how did Service Hub absolutely change so dramatically in such a short amount of time? And so I think it can really come down to two primary factors. So the first one is that about 2 years ago, we got a new GM of Service Hub. So Paul Weston is the GM and VP of Service Hub. And so, if you think about the change that you started to see about 18 months ago through today, that's really his vision and his team's work that have come to fruition and have made such an impact. The second, I think, is that, from the top down, HubSpot has made an investment in AI and has made a strategic decision that that's where we're going to focus. And Service Hub is certainly no exception. So probably in the past year or so, you're seeing some of those investments really, really play out. So whether it's self-service, when you think about our Breeze customer agent and Breeze knowledge base agent, or rep assisted, AI features in the help desk, that's absolutely changed at an incredibly rapid pace. That team has just been shipping product in a ridiculous rate, and they're not slowing down. So keep your eye out for more.
The product updates, we try to keep on top of them, but honestly, there's just so many. We run a monthly webinar on this, and it's a lot to get your head around. So yeah, those teams are working at pace at the
Yeah,
moment.
they
Yeah.
really are. And it's like anytime a customer is asking, or do you have it's like the minute it's out of their mouth, I'm like, yep, it's like it's in private beta or it's going into public beta tomorrow. So it's shipping product, but it's like really meeting the market need, which is just super exciting. It's a fun spot to be in.
Yeah, for sure. And so kind of going back to that AI, humans, getting this balance, it really seems like a bit of a conundrum, doesn't it? So how do you incorporate technology and AI, which is this growing big area of the business, but in an area that is so dependent on human connection? So service really relies on people. And I think speaking to people a lot of the time, human connection is what people really want from service. And that can be the frustration when they don't get that. So increasingly, this can't be AI versus humans. They need to work together. So can you share a bit of the thinking at HubSpot about this?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. And I do think that AI versus humans is kind of a false choice that some people have been boxed into. And really the idea is that they work together and they complement each other. So, um, for example, we've all had this experience, right? You're a customer, you call in, you have some sort of need, and you explain this challenge to somebody on the other end of the line. And then they're like, okay, I got it, but I have to transfer you to somebody else. And you're like, all right, you get to the next person, and it's like tell me your story. Like, what's going on with you today? And you're like,
Yeah.
this is like people really aren't tolerant of this anymore, which is rightly so. And so when I think about like transitioning that over to Service Hub and sort of what we're doing to help solve for that using AI, this is a true story. I spoke with a customer last month, and he's a manager. And so by the time a ticket gets to him, it's now been escalated. It's gone back and
Mhm.
forth a number of times. It's sitting too long in a certain stage. There's basically a reason that he needs to come in and action needs to be taken pretty
Mhm.
immediately. And so on, if you're not familiar with the help desk, we have a right-hand panel with a lot of, rich data. And in there we have a card that has an AI generated ticket summary. So what he
Mhm.
does is he goes in and instead of before he would have to read this entire thread start to finish to like totally understand the customer's like, specific problem. And now he reads the summary. He knows the problem specifically that that customer has, and then he can personalize a solution to meet their needs. And I really think that's just kind of like the perfect marriage between the two worlds. Use AI to help you be more efficient so you can be more personalized, which is what customers want.
It's taking out a lot of that admin that none of us want to do. We want to get to the value, don't we? So, I completely get that. And the summaries in general across the whole portal are a game changer from my perspective, being able to see those communications with customers, not just on a ticket, but kind of the general conversations customers are having with everyone across the business, and being able to summarize that just helps you get up to speed so much quicker and
Yeah.
kind of streamlines those handovers. So yeah, really interesting. Can you share any specific examples of tangible business outcomes that customers are actually achieving with these service hubs, AI capabilities? So, how is this transitioning into the real world? Basically, this isn't just an idea anymore. It's not just a marketing hype, but it is really genuinely transforming how a lot of businesses are connecting and serving their customers. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, it's a really good question because that at the end of the day, right, is what we're here to do is to help drive business value for our customers. And so I think one of the most interesting ones that I can think of is so within the help desk, we have this feature called reply recommendations. And basically how it works is that a ticket comes in from any channel, like form, email, custom channel, chat, like wherever it might come in from. And this the AI reads the ticket and then it basically like checks the knowledge sources that you've lined up and it generates a response. So as a human agent, I can either just say like, yep, go send it, reply to the customer, or I might say, ooh, this got me like 90 to 95% of the way there. I'm going to just do a couple quick edits and I'm going to send it off. So that all sounds great. What that translates to in terms of like actual numbers is that if you look at the email channel specifically, because anyone in the support world knows that like all channels are different in terms of response time. But if you look at two cohorts of HubSpot customers, we've got Service Hub customers who are using the AI reply recommendations in the help desk, and we have Service Hub customers who have not adopted that yet. And so we can
Mhm.
see that those who have adopted it when we look at the email channel, have a 65% faster response rate, and they're closing those tickets 25% faster than the cohort who is not. So, any service operations leader out there who's like living in SLAs and like measuring seconds, I think definitely understands the value of that. And again, it's AI complementing the human, right? They're working together.
Yeah, I can really see that because I made a kind of vow to make sure I started using AI back at the end of last year, having had a few months out. And the amount of time it cuts down just being able to put something into words that but you can't quite get right. Like, I can completely see how that would transform response times in
Yeah.
that way. So yeah, it makes complete sense. And what metrics beyond traditional efficiency and resolution times should companies track beyond that, like to measure that human quality of those help desk interactions?
Yeah, so I think, I mean, this is another traditional method, but outside of just efficiency, I think like efficiency for efficiency's sake doesn't really get anybody anywhere. But forever, people have been measuring CSAT, customer satisfaction. And
Hmm.
I think that, while that is traditional, that's basically it's measuring like how the human that you spoke with feels about their interaction with you. And so one of our customers in Norway that I was speaking with recently, they set a goal for the customer agent and a goal for their human agents. And so they understand that they're going to be different goals, but ensuring a bar of quality is still incredibly important. And so it's like,
Mhm.
treating customers the way you would want to be treated as a customer and making sure that they're having a satisfactory experience.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I've seen some product updates recently that's looking at the kind of renaming of properties from the surveys tool into CSAT and all that feedback. It feels like it's taking it out of kind of a pigeonholed response
Yeah.
into something that applies across the platform and it's a bit more integrated into how you deal with customers as well.
Yes, yeah, I would say like I can't share too many details now, but stay tuned for just more development on the like feedback management because that
Okay.
is just critically important and we definitely are putting a focus there.
Nice, nice. I look forward to seeing that. And how are you seeing the role of help desk agents evolve as AI handles more routine inquiries? So, what new skills are becoming essential in this area?
Yeah, so I think it's like you said, like if AI is handling routine, then humans handle like the non-routine, like the inverse of that. So basically the complex. And I think like, I'm trying to think of just a tangible example. Like if you think about a software company like HubSpot, we have a customer who will connect with us and they have some sort of product challenge. And so the first line of support is going to determine like what is this challenge? And then maybe they're not like a super expert in this particular area of the product. So maybe they'll go to another specialist within their support organization. And that person is like, I'm pretty sure this is a bug. So let's check out with the product manager. And the product manager is like, yep, definitely a bug. Let's get engineering to work on this. And I think once you start getting multiple teams, multiple departments, that's complex. And that human needs to manage all of those people. Like
Mhm.
they're at the end of the day, they're responsible for their customer and they want to make sure that they get back to them in a timely fashion and that they resolve this issue quickly. And so I think that that's where it's like that people management is just going to continue to be more important and like managing multi-step problems. And so I think it's quite analogous. Like if you think about the advent of the ATM,
Mhm.
people were like, okay, well, if the ATM now handles simple withdrawals, simple deposits, what's a bank teller going to do? And what we
Yep.
saw was like, well, they're actually paid a lot more now. Their job is more complex. They can spend time on high value clients. They can offer different products or services. So, like, accepting and taking the cash and checks is like let a machine handle that. And I think that's exactly like, I think there are just so many parallels when you think about
Mhm.
AI handling those routine, repetitive, well-documented questions. And then you've got, I mean, support organizations are like wildly underserved. It is overwhelming. The volume of tickets is astounding. Like there's no rest for that organization. So
Mhm.
like giving them time to like really dive into special projects and hone those types of skills that will ultimately benefit their organization and the customers, I think is just it's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, and I think you made a really good point there about kind of these are complex problems. They're involving multiple teams. There's lots of stuff going on. I just love that this is really fostering that collaboration because ultimately that's serving the customer better, isn't it? Because they're getting a multitude of expertise and lots of kind of in-depth thought behind it. And from using the help desk in that, being able to do those internal comments and pull people in without having to have long meetings, getting them up to speed, getting an answer, which then takes time to get back to the customer. I think it's making it much quicker to deliver multiple areas of expertise to a customer to solve something quickly, which is
Yeah.
only a good thing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And then they don't like the back end is not their concern. So it's like it's your job to like make sure that the systems behind the scene are efficient and it's our job to help enable that within the help desk.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, what guidance would you offer customers who fear losing their brand personality or connection with customers when looking at AI? I know this is a constant question that I come across.
Yes, yes, very marketing. Marketing is raising their hand and asking this question,
Yes.
which is understandable. So we actually have a feature. The feature itself is not new. It's existed, I think, in Content Hub. It's called Brand Voice, and
Mhm.
basically, it's you can train it. You give it samples of your writing. You might insert your style guide. You're basically going to just train it to really sound like your brand. And once you're confident with that, you can apply it throughout HubSpot. So it was originally not in Service Hub, and it's recently been expanded throughout more of HubSpot, and it is now in public beta for the customer agent. So
Mhm.
when you're configuring the customer agent, previously you had the options of tone. So make it witty, make it smart, make it helpful. And now you can just say insert my brand voice. And so even though
Yeah.
your customers are interacting with AI, it sounds like you're a company that they've chosen to do business with. So I think it is a valid concern, and anybody can opt in as of today in their portal.
I love that brand identity thing. I was playing around with it the other day, and I think just being like it answers so many concerns, like you say, from marketing, but anyone else as well, like being able to have that. And one customer I was speaking to, they've actually got kind of two brand voices because different elements of the business are
Mm.
kind of separate. And through brands, which was business units, you can actually have those two, and AI kind of behaves differently dependent on which brand you're looking at, which is great and kind of solves so much of that problem. Whereas before you're looking at one portal, one AI, like how does that work? I'm going to have to buy a whole other portal. Now it's all around that brand identity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Um,
I think it's really exciting, and again, just like more to come.
yeah, good. I'm so excited. So how do you recommend that companies approach the handoff between these automated systems and human agents ultimately to just create a better customer experience?
Yeah. So this is like I would say this sounds like so simplistic. Like AI is technology, and then we have just like general business practices, and just like don't forget those just because we have this new technology. And so I think an interesting use case, actually, I live in like the Service Hub world, but in doing a lot of customer calls about our Breeze customer agent, I came across many customers that were using it for sales. And
Mhm.
so what they were doing was basically like a lot of them decided that they wanted the customer agent to handle simple inquiries, like kind of at the beginning of the buyer's journey. So like, what does feature X do? Can feature Y do this? And so with that, they're like, all right, we're happy to have the customer agent do that. Once somebody starts to talk about pricing, they're like, you know what?
Mhm.
Our products are not, it's like a little complicated, probably more than it should be. They're going to go through 1,000 back and forth. I'm not fully confident that they're going to know exactly what they need. They need that human connection. So in the customer agent, they set triggers. And if someone mentioned like pricing or cost or like these keywords that would come up at that point of the buyer's journey, then they'd be transferred over to the human agent. So it'll vary by whether it's marketing, sales, or service use case. It'll vary by company, but like you just go back to what's important to us as a business. What do we think should be handled with that human touch? And kind of take it from there.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point, and I think it feeds into something that I always come back to with HubSpot, which is you can look at the tools, but you always need to zoom out and look at the holistic kind of view because actually understanding the customer journey and how this looks to them, I think that's such a big thing, and a lot of businesses can benefit from the process first and
Yes.
then the tool implementation. So yeah, definitely.
Definitely. And in Service Hub, I think we think of that particularly like we have our customers, but the customer's customer is like because that's paramount to our customer, that's like another stakeholder that we view equally as important. So you definitely have to think about that end user's journey and making sure. I just had like a brutal online experience where somebody did not do that, and
Yeah.
it's a massive it's a US brand. It is absolutely massive, and essentially I just like can't seem to connect with them.
Hmm.
And I can't update my payment information. So they're losing me as a customer despite the fact that I
Yeah.
don't want to. It's
You
like,
don't want to. Yeah.
yeah. And it's like, oh, you pay for the brightest minds in the world. I don't understand how this is happening. So yeah, simple, back to the basics.
Yeah, 100%. And so for those help desk leaders or kind of those heading up service desk, um, and they feel in that pressure to automate for cost savings. So maybe this is coming from procurement, it's coming from finance saying you must cut costs. They're already overstretched. Like, what compelling business case can they make for maintaining that strategic human? touch point.
Yeah, so I love this because it's so timely. I'm not sure if you saw that Klarna's CEO yesterday there were several articles published with some of his comments. And so essentially in 2024 they made a huge bet on AI and
Hmm.
they really changed their hiring practices and they are pivoting as of now.
Yeah.
And what he said, and I do want to I want to hold space for empathy. Like I have 2020 vision. I'm not the one making these decisions. And everybody's like figuring it out. Like things are changing at such a once in a lifetime pace.
Hmm.
But what he said was we over-index on cost
Yeah.
savings. And again, it goes back to the business principles. Like you don't ever really make a business decision with one factor in mind, right? Like that,
No.
but somehow because there's new technology, we tend to get overwhelmed or excited, like and we do that. So it's just like learn from I'm appreciative that he shared,
Hmm.
like learn from him and create a strategy and do go for AI and do incorporate it but like make sure your goals are well set out before you go and like cost savings would never be the only thing that you care about. So I think
Yeah.
that's like just, if you're a leader, it's just like having everyone take a step back and really remembering that savings is like fine, but to what end? What's the ultimate goal?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think in this conversation we've definitely underlined the fact that as AI kind of comes in with customer service, the human element remains so important. And you've already talked about kind of using the human element for the more complex, for the kind of bit that needs the more communication and can't just be automated. But how has HubSpot designed Service Hub to preserve those human elements whilst kind of balancing that need to enhance efficiency?
Yeah. So I think that, we've spoken about like the customer agent to like take those things off your plate that
Hmm.
are well documented, easy to solve. The Breeze knowledge base agent is sort of like the second half of the dynamic duo between these two agents. And basically, what it does is that it's going to scan tickets that human agents have responded to. It's going to identify knowledge gaps in your
Hmm.
knowledge base that the customer agent like doesn't have a resource to pull from, and it's going to basically draft knowledge base articles for you. Um, if you speak to any support leader, this is the thing that gets pushed to the bottom of the list because they're so overwhelmed. There's like not extra time. And so basically it's like taking that off their plate. They're still going to do human review. Like you're still going to have a human actually
Yeah.
publish this. But I think like taking that repetitive work like completely away is one way. And then I
Yeah.
think the other way is if you're in the help desk, is really thinking about just enabling that human to do their best work. So whether it's like reply
Mhm.
recommendations or ticket summary, we've got a couple other cool AI enrichment features that can help. Like on the right-hand side, there's a knowledge sources card now. So as a
Mhm.
ticket comes in and you're an agent, you can see like, oh, this is going to have the information that I need. I don't have to go searching. I don't have to pull up 1,000. Like one thing that support teams struggle with is often they have multiple siloed systems that they have to contend
Mhm.
with. So it's like, oh, I have to pull up our internal knowledge base here. I'm answering one ticket here. I'm answering a call over here. So it's like it's all there. There are also a couple of cool things like that are new, like so AI sentiment identification. So you
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Yeah. I've been waiting for this sort of thing.
Yes, yes. So you're like, oh, this seems negative. Let's route this ticket elsewhere. Like this won't go down the regular path. So like maybe a new rep doesn't get that one, right? Or
Yeah.
identifying the language. So I mean, a lot of small business, if you're in SaaS, it doesn't matter if you're a small business, you are a global business. That is just the way of
Mhm.
the world today. So being able to say like, oh, like Spanish language, send this one to a different agent to handle. So I think it's really just like I said, complementing and making their jobs a lot easier from like the support rep position and that operations manager position, who is like the one like counting those seconds and minutes.
Yeah. I really feel like these people, the kind of future generations that are going to be using these as just normal are going to go, how did they not do this
Yeah.
before? Like, how did you have time to reply to everyone on your own without?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
And to kind of tie to that, we've talked a lot about why people should do this and how to do it with the balance. But how are you actually seeing adoption of things like customer agent evolve? And what makes that approach from HubSpot distinctive in this customer service space?
Yeah. So adoption, I would say, has been like steady and fast. And I think there are like a couple of reasons for it. So one is like we talked about the service hub evolution in the last like 18 months. Customer agent is just like it's so I don't know, I should have a better word than so fast. It's faster than fast, but it's like it is just kind of beyond measure. And so when
Yeah.
the product is that good, then we're able to say, hey, on average, we have over a 50% resolution rate. And so we're able to tell customer stories about that because it's interesting. While there are people that are diving head first, there are people who are timid and they're unsure about
Hmm.
it. So I think like them being able to see the success that other teams have had has definitely helped with the adoption because it's like if you're going to your leader, you have some sort of tangible number to bring to them. So I think that's particularly helpful. In terms of differentiation, I think the customer agent is differentiated in the way that HubSpot is differentiated in general. So we design for that end user, we build for that end user, we want it to be easy. We don't think anybody needs to have a PhD to operate HubSpot. Like that's not the goal. So it's really easy for people to adopt, which is so again, these are busy people. So the
Yeah.
fact that you're not like reading a manual is helpful. The other thing is the businesses we serve are scaling. They're pivoting with this new technology. They're changing their business models. We need them to get value really quickly. And part of that is like getting set up quickly. So the team spent a lot of time making sure that setup process was so fast, so simple. You kind of can test along the way. So you have that gut check and you don't kind of wait till the end to realize like, oh, this isn't exactly what I want. And then the last is again the HubSpot value that like everything is built from the ground up with a couple of strategic exceptions. Like we're not cobbled together, we're not some one-off solution. And I think with AI, I mean, it's only as powerful as the data that it has to read. And so when everything's in one system, that's what makes it powerful and that's what makes it a good customer experience for that end customer. So I think those are kind of like I said, that's where HubSpot's differentiated in general, and the customer agent is no exception.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I've known over the 10 years I've been using HubSpot. It's that I managed to learn the whole platform because it grew while I was using it, right? And it grew in a way that it was obvious. Like one day something wasn't there, the next day it was. But even if I was demoing to a customer, I'd sort of know what to do because HubSpot looks the same. It feels the same. I can make an educated guess. And most of the time I'd be right. And it's really interesting how AI can be seen as this really complex, slightly scary thing that I'm seeing a lot of customers are like slightly risk averse to it. But actually, HubSpot has managed to take something like that and giving you something that is easy to use in the same way as the whole platform is. So it makes it lowers that barrier to adoption and really makes it easier to just get started. Because I think sometimes people can overthink everything. Like a customer agent, you
Mhm.
could go down a whole process for starting that and getting it to be perfect and solve for all the solutions. But you can just get it set up and working with just a few bits of information and build it from there. And I think that's what I'm really liking. People can dip a toe in and very quickly scale with it.
Yes, that exactly. And again, I've had like a tons of, I've been speaking with customers specifically about the customer agent. So I like got tons of just like
Yeah.
customers in my mind. And we had a couple, like one had this deadline and they were like, well, there's no way we're going to get it set up. And like, it was like in 2 days. And it's like,
Yeah.
they're like, they're going to continue to iterate to add more sources
Yeah.
as we provide more sources. But like, they just didn't. I had another customer I was speaking with, and they decided, well, let's just turn it on at night. Because again, global business, frankly, no matter who you are, if you sell software, and they just had it on overnight. It answers in whatever language the person messages in. So that's the other thing. It's like, they speak
Hmm.
Norwegian and English fluently, but somebody can message
Yeah.
it from Mexico in Spanish, and it's totally
Yeah.
fine. And they were super excited. They were tracking the progress, like really being diligent. And then one day they just forgot to turn it off. And they were like, well, okay, like we'd already tested
Yeah.
it, like we'd already had this toe dipping, and then they're like, well, why would we turn it off
Yeah.
at this point? So it's kind of fun to just see how each customer is approaching it and like the evolution that they're taking too.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Oh, I think you've partly answered my last question, and we could talk about it forever. But what are the most exciting recent additions to Service Hub beyond Customer Agent? And kind of how are you helping customers with these new things navigate that future balance of human and AI in their service strategy?
Yeah. So we've talked about the customer agent. So if you think about Service Hub, you've got self-service, which, could be your knowledge base, your customer agent. You've got that help desk to help you scale
Hmm.
support. But the third pillar, I haven't even like spoken about it all. The Service Hub is massive at this point,
Yeah, yeah.
is the customer success workspace, which is where you drive
Yes.
retention. And like completely different than a support team, but like kind of equally underserved in my opinion. And so
Yeah.
I'm so bullish on that. The feedback that we've gotten is just like incredibly positive. Um,
Mhm.
it's purpose built for CSMs. A lot of it might have been like bouncing around in parts of HubSpot and then like a little bit of something else. Like again, wildly underserved, especially considering the role that this organization, like this like group plays within an organization. Um, the days of acquiring customer at whatever cost and just focusing on simple acquisition are absolutely long gone. Retention
Mhm.
is paramount. And so it's like, why would we not provide this group with a world-class system to work out of? And so
Yeah.
that's where we are. There are health scores that are really easy to make, that are easy to understand the health of their customers. If you are a SaaS company, you can pull in product usage data. It's like you said, like it's the platform is designed to be easy and it's designed to be similar wherever you are. So people who have some familiarity just kind
Yeah.
of jump right in and just start using it. So yeah, that's an area where again, like we've made a lot of investment. I kind of consider all of Service Hub. I feel like 2024 felt foundational. Like we were like, okay, let's
Yeah.
let's like really make sure this is so solid. 25 feels like we're kind of breaking away. Like like the
Mhm.
excitement is there, the momentum is there. I have absolutely no idea what 2026 is going to hold, but based on the roadmap and based on the things that are just like in beta now, I'm just like I can't wait to watch.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. I think the one thing I thought of while you were saying about that and about the customer success workspace, because that was me in my head of success role. It was me trying to go, okay, I need a bit of dashboards, a bit of views, some lists. How do I keep track of everything? And actually going through and doing the implementation for the workspace on ourselves to kind of test it out. Like suddenly I've got like live contracts, upcoming ones. We've used a custom object, so being able to put the custom object into the success workspace, so we can kind of tailor it. I think that's big. And then going into one of the things that's really hit home with our clients has often been the score, and being able to have the customer score. So sometimes just showing people that is the sell of Service Hub. I think and what I like about that is you're kind of combining that structured and unstructured data, which is really that beauty of AI and how it can bring everything together. Because you can use like CSM sentiment, you can use activity they've done on the website and all this other stuff to combine and give you like a health score. And I think that's super powerful for empowering teams to do better with customers.
Exactly. And I think that, like you said, empowering teams. I was speaking with somebody and they were like, I used to pull, I'd go to Power BI, I'd have the information as the leader, but my team didn't have the
Yeah,
information. It's like, why are we not informing these like smart, hardworking people with the information they need to do their
yeah,
jobs?
yeah.
It again, simple, but like really impactful.
Yeah, Caitlyn, I could keep talking to you all day, but yeah, you have a job to get back to, and so do I. So that brings us to the end of another episode of Beyond the Hub. I've loved talking to you, Caitlyn, and thank you so much for sharing these really valuable insights with us. If our listeners want to connect with you or learn more about your work, where's the best place to find you?
Yes. So you can find me on LinkedIn, but you can find more about Service Hub, hubspot.com/spotlight. So we just had our spring
Mhm.
spotlight last month. There are 74 Service Hub features since our spotlight in the fall, and there are videos, customer stories, little blurbs about each
Yeah.
one. That's kind of the easiest place to get the gist of it.
Yeah, great. And for our listeners interested in continuing that journey with BabelQuest, we've got lots of upcoming events you won't want to miss. So firstly, I mentioned it earlier, we've got our HubSpot product update webinar where we take that deluge of product updates that come every month and we trim them down, look at what's the kind of highlights and look at how to leverage them for businesses. So that's the first Wednesday of every month. So we'll link in the description how you can do that. We also run special bi-monthly training sessions. So May's edition actually went out earlier this week, I believe, was maximizing team productivity with AI tools, which again, I think is another big win for HubSpot and AI. So looking at that and just allowing you to cut through that AI noise and implement practical applications. So you can access that session on demand and sign up for upcoming webinars in the description. I'm particularly excited about our upcoming AI playbook release. You can tell this is a topic that's on the tip of everyone's tongue at the moment. So we're giving step-by-step advice on implementing AI across your sales, marketing, and service operations specific to HubSpot. So you can pre-register for access to that on our website. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to rate, review, and share it with someone who might benefit from this conversation. It might be someone using HubSpot, but equally, Caitlyn, I know we caught up before this. It might be your service team who aren't using HubSpot and should be. So yeah, for any questions or if you'd like to suggest a topic for future episode, please email tanya@babelquest.co.uk or reach out to myself or Caitlyn for questions around Service Hub. We'd be more than happy to jump on that and I'd be keen to know everyone's feedback from this session as well. So this has been Beyond the Hub by BabelQuest. I'm Jem, and we'll speak to you on the next episode. Thank you.
Thanks so much.